So today is July 5th, or is it the 6th? It's the 6th today, 2021. So yeah, how was you guys' 4th of July? Well, we went to San Diego. I have to pick up my kids because my kids spent a week over there. So we picked them up, then we went home, and then well, we spent a little time over there, a little bit. I mean, we spent a little time there, so yeah. You can see that I don't have my teeth on me, but it's just to show that, I mean, that I just prefer to be me, you know, like, I'm not out, I don't want to be all the time, like, getting my teeth to just so I can look cute or whatever. Well, anyway. Yeah, so anyways, so it appears to me that this house had already sold, supposed to be. I mean, this house had sold for like I'd call it $385, but the thing is I mean, we don't know how it's gonna end exactly. So supposed to be this house is in escrow already, so we're in the process of looking for another one, for a house that fits us better. I mean, that suits what we're looking for in a house. So yeah, working on that right now. We made an offer on one, but it might be a challenge to get it accepted on a offer, because the market is hot, you know, like, yeah. So well, anyway, while I'm at it, I'm just here in the backyard. I'm using my camcorder, the Sony one, the Sony CX405 right now. So yeah, this is my backyard still. So I would probably, if everything goes good, I could probably estimate it taking it could be as early as a month. I mean, if the escrow of this house, of the buyer of this house, if it would only go for 1 month, and if we can get accepted as early as today on a house, an offer, then this escrow could take as little as 30 days. I mean, it could happen, you know, but otherwise I could expect it to take about 2 months from now. So while I'm at it, I'm just gonna live the normal life. I'm just gonna live the normal life here, blog here, once in a while, the depression warrant, you know. I don't want to be letting depression or anxiety get in my way, so I'm just gonna continue to blog. If it's one thing that I want to make it clear on myself, is I want to live the normal life until the day that the second escrow closes, or like the buyer of this house and us. I'm gonna wait until the very day that it closes before I do anything. I'm not gonna be packing up early or nothing. I'm not gonna do that this time. I've done it before, and I felt like it was just a waste of time doing that. And this time I just wanna chill on this, you know. I mean, I've done it like at least 2 or 3 other times where I was packing up, I'm being happy that the escrow was going on or whatever, and only to find out that I was not moving out until like 2 months later. I don't want to do that this time. I want to just live the normal life, you know, just do the stuff I like to do here, like do my normal hobbies, just live the normal life until the day that our escrow closes, you know, like on the new house. Don't want to wait till that time, because I don't want to be packing up, because of one reason too is that we just don't know. I mean, anything's gonna happen that can cause an escrow to fall off, and I don't want to be all packed up packed up only to have to unpack everything back and stuff. I don't want that. I mean, I'm just gonna live the normal life. That's me. This is from my experience. So yeah, my mama had a situation like she had a Bell's palsy. She had a Bell's situation. She like a drooping face on one side. It's just like what I had, It's just like a little bit of what I had, Bell's palsy. My mom had that, or has it right now, and she went to the doctor for it, and she's fine, but it's like her face looks kind of droopy. It's not stroke or anything, but it just got weird like that. Her face. I visited my mama yesterday and everything. So yeah. My mama has Bell's palsy, and it's kind of like what I had a little bit. You guys probably remember when I did my lives and you saw my face drooping a little bit. But my case was a very mild one compared to my mom's. But anyway, my mama is fine right now. I visited my mama and I made a video of it, and I'll probably post that video in a little bit. So yeah. Now, if I would be talking about, like, if housing really cheaper in the 80s? Was it really cheaper? Well, I would have to put it this way, in the 80s, the prices of houses were a lot cheaper. Back in the day, well, we're talking about the 70s decade and the 80s decade. I know like in the 80s decade, you're able to buy a house in Covina for like maybe $70,000, $80,000 back then. But the thing was that you have to understand that, back then the interest rates for the mortgage back then was in the tens. It was in the tens. Sometimes the rates were as high as 20%. Yes, you heard me right. Yeah, because if I remember, when my mom bought the house in when my mom had the house and my dad had the house in Covina, it's like the house was like $65,000 at the time, the 1634 1 Edna Place Street house. But they were paying, like, if I remember, they were paying like $900 a month for that house at the time. But the other thing to consider too is not just the interest rates that was really high back then. It's also, you gotta also remember that the wages and jobs were not anything like the way they are today. Because in my days, my dad, if I remember, my dad used to make like, if I can remember, I know my dad used to bring home pretty good money, like in his construction job as a foreman or something. And my mom like worked as a teller or a bank at the Bank of America. So my mom, if I remember, my mom used to bring home like roughly about like $1,000. Like in the middle 80s, my mom used to bring home about $1,000 a month. Like working full time, like talking about more than 40 hours, if I remember, like my mom used to make more than $1,000, a little more than that, But in today's times, I make like $2,500 in my job, for about the same amount of hours, So, and then my dad, if I remember, my dad probably used to bring home like $2,000 a month, if I remember. Well, I know it was pretty good money. But that was a good job, so my dad had a good job, though. But, in those days, minimum wage was like in the $3 range in the middle 80s, and work wasn't really that great. It was not really, like, booming back then, so we did not used to get 40 hours, it was not always easy. So yeah, housing was a lot cheaper back then to buy, but the thing was, it was a lot harder to earn that dollar back then too. And plus, the interest rates were a lot higher back then too, because in today's times, the interest rates for home loans is like 3 now. It's like it's in the 3% range, but they're talking about going up, but I mean, anyway. And then another thing I would probably be talking about, what I think, what my opinion is on, like the crash, the housing crash in 2006. Like, what's my thoughts about what's going to happen this time around with the big bubble that's going on with the housing market? I feel like, like sources say, I mean, the reason why it crashed in the 2006 was because the loan companies were kind of careless at the time. They're loaning people, and they were loaning anybody the money, and then plus their stupid subprime shit, where I mean, that's where a lot of people that got screwed up with, because they gave them a nice promotional payment plan for the first 2 years, and then after 2 years the payment would go up like almost double or something like that. I know that it was gonna be a major shock to a lot of people's income or something. Well, it was gonna be a shock on their ability to pay, because because of the way the loans worked back then, they would be paying a promotional payment for like a couple of years, a really nice, low, attractive number, like an attractive rate, or how much they pay a month for the first couple of years, and then suddenly their little promotion, I don't know what it was, and then their little promotion would end, and then suddenly they would go back to the regular price, which would be sometimes double. Sometimes it would be double, and then it would knock everybody's budget out of whack, and that's what made the market crash. That's what I know is for a fact what made it crash, because everybody got screwed up with that, because people don't think about it. It's just like the pandemic pay. It's just like the hero pay they're paying right now in some jobs. They're paying us like $2 more an hour for some companies. They do that, or they pay more, and then they've been doing that for the last 6 months or so. And then so we get used to this $2 extra an hour, right? We're getting used to that, right? A lot of us. But what I'm afraid for some of us, that as soon as the pandemic pay finishes, or they stop doing that, or when the pandemic is officially over or something, I mean, that's when they're going to stop paying this pandemic pay or hero pay and stuff. And then I'm afraid for some of you that for some people, it's going to knock their budget out of whack. And then it's going to mess up it's going to mess everybody. It's going to mess a lot of people up. Or, I mean, at least the companies who are actually paying pandemic pay. But it's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be a crash like the way 2006 was. But I do know in today's times, the loan companies are a lot more cautious about who they loan money to, because they don't want to be doing this subprime thing. I don't know what it is. I just know that they're being cautious. I know that they're being cautious because, for one example, is like they're not gonna loan money out for more than the value of the house. So people are going to be forced to pay any money that's above the value of the house. So, I mean, that's going to kind of slow it down a little bit, slow down the people buying houses, or it's going to let them kick back. They need to kick back a little bit, so to speak, but, well, anyway, I mean, I know low inventory is bad here, but, I mean, the realtor's telling me that it's loosening up a little bit. I mean, it seems like it is, but I mean, in the direct areas that I want, I mean, it's hard to find a house in that direct area that I want. But I mean, there are houses available, but I have to be pretty quick about catching one. Well, anyway, so when I'm talking about housing market, or when I'm talking about how I call it, what was I just talking about? About how the housing market compared with the 80s and today. I just know that in the 80s decade, it was a lot harder. It was a lot harder to get approved on a house back then, because I don't know much detail, but I think probably we did have to come up with 10% or 20%. Regardless, we had to come up with 20% down. I'm guessing on that, but I mean, And a very small handful of people were able to do that, especially at the minimum wage of $3 an hour back then, you know. But houses were a lot cheaper to buy in the 80s and 90s decade, but the interest rates were a lot higher too. I mean, they were a lot higher. I mean, it's going to drive the payment up, and so of course the higher the interest rate is, the less affordable the houses will be, and then they would have to bring down the price of the houses in order to get people to build afford them, you know, like when the interest rate is high, you know, like. But back in the 90s, I know that in the 90s interest rates were probably like in the 10% range. And I know in the 80s it was even more expensive then. I know, like, if I remember my mom and my dad paying like 15%, or it was for like 14% at the time, you know. But the house was $65,000, a 1634 one Edna Place Street house, but it was $65,000. But I mean, the interest rates were a lot higher, and plus the wages and jobs were not anything like today's, not anything like in today's. So I mean, so the grand overall for if housing was really cheaper, I don't think it was. I would say no. I don't think it was necessarily cheaper overall, because I mean, the houses were cheaper, but the wages were more suckier, a lot more suckier, and then the and the interest rates were higher and stuff. So I mean, overall, and I remember back in my day, like my mom in the 80s, like when it was just my mom living in the house, like she had a big struggle keeping up the payment on the house at the time, you know, like, and the payment I think was like $900 at the time, $900 at the time for that 1634 one Edna Place Street. But you know, her wages was like only like $1,000 or $1,100, and she had been in her job for like 10 years at the time, you know. So yeah, I mean, well, anyways, so I'm just gonna be walking around. You know, my phone ran out of memory, so I could not use my phone. I wanted to use my phone because the video is more clear than this one is. So, but anyway, so I would think that I mean, if everything goes good, I mean, it's a lot of things that can happen during this process of buying a house and stuff, you know, like that we're going through right now. I mean, a lot of things can happen, you know, like right now the last buyer, the buyer of this house is on escrow right now. It's on escrow right now. And then, you know, like, well, anything can happen, man. Anything can happen. So, if everything goes good in me finding a house, if I could find a house like anytime this week or something, if I can get accepted and on offer on a house like as soon as I can, then let's say this week, you know, like I could probably see us being here for approximately 2 more months from now. This is July 6th, so probably by September, by the time September comes, they'll probably be out of here. Yeah, if everything goes good, you know. Yeah. So yeah, okay. Well, all right. So I thought I would just say a little update, and then talk about. And I wanted to talk about was housing really cheaper in the 80s, and I would say no, it was not exactly more affordable, but you know, but then again, you know, like, how come some of us were able to, how come like some normal people were able to get a house or an apartment in the 80s? So that's the other thing, you know. But overall, I mean, it was not exactly, I mean, it was not exactly more affordable, I mean, back then, you know, because you gotta remember the interest rates were higher, and the wages were more suckier, so the bill, I mean, yeah. So anyway, okay, alrighty. his yard.
No, the dog.
God damn. Ooh, man. Oh, yeah. Hi, Ed. Telling you, Ed.
Hi.
Oh, yeah, Ed.
My eyes.
Oh, what happened, man?
Can you see?
Yeah, Ed. It's a lot more bigger than I thought it was because I had that myself, you know. I had a Bell Palsy myself, you know. Telling you.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, Jenny, all of a sudden. So,
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
I know, huh? Ooh.
And, you know, it's like, yeah.
My eye, I'm gonna put some medicine on my eye. So I can close it.
So what kind of a medicine is it, though?
Oh, no, it's just drops.
Oh, that? Oh, drops. Oh, because it was dry, huh?
Yeah, it gets really dry, you know, the hands and everything. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So I took,
Telling you, Ed.
yeah. I took the medicine already. So it's supposed to take about 2-3 weeks to get started better. So I don't know. Probably it does. I don't know.
Telling you. So you feel like
What
the...
did you do for the 4th of July?
Oh, we went over to San Diego. Telling you.
Like the water came out this side.
Oh.
Like all of a sudden, like it squirted. So what the heck? And then I noticed when I smiled, you could see these teeth on this side and not the ones on this side. I said,
Yeah, dang, huh?
but I still fine, nothing, you know, no, nothing. Everything was normal. I was putting everything away, the barbecue and getting everything ready. You know, okay. Then I took a shower, and when I took the shower, like the water, I didn't notice yet. So the water went in my eye because I couldn't close my eye.
Oh.
I didn't even notice. I didn't know what was happening. So then I noticed my eye. So when I came out, and my sister goes, you know what? Something's wrong with your eye. So I said, no, yeah. And I called the nurse, and I talked to them. They asked me everything. So she said, okay, you're not having a stroke. So this is what we think you're having. This is it's caused usually a virus. It's stress. I said, okay. So
Yeah.
she said, okay, just go to the doctor. We want you to have my sister to me, and everything was fine. I mean, they said it's gonna take, give you medicine. It's gonna take up to 3 weeks, for you to get better. It's not gonna get worse. It's just gonna be this way. It's just talk. So nothing's wrong with me. I feel fine. I have energy. I eat like a pig. Everything is fine. It's just my voice.
It's like, I think it's the nerve.
Where
Where did you get the Johnson? What part of your...
This side.
And
I was thinking of it.
yeah, we were kind of thinking about the Johnson and...
Of course, I don't know.
That's what I'm...
I don't, right on, because it's a virus. It's a virus. It's a virus. So I don't know.
It's crazy,
I
man.
don't think it is. I don't think it is.
Well, yeah.
And then I've been taking pictures every day, but it's really
Oh,
nothing.
yeah.
Nothing has really changed.
I'm telling you, Ed. It was at the emergency room?
Yeah.
Really? Telling you, Mama. So everything is all like...
Never know.
That's crazy, Mama.
Not very crazy. Like nobody. Like.
So, like, how's the health of the rest of your family? Is the brother? I mean, are they all good? I mean, like, no problems? No?
They came to get the vaccine, actually. They came to get vaccinated.
It's crazy, man.
Vaccines in Mexico, so they'll get
So for you, well, you don't never really have a problem with health either, though, huh?
No, that's what Cynthia was saying. Because Cynthia wasn't here when I called her first. I said, if she can take me to the hospital, I think my sister doesn't have to go. Because everybody was on their way to be here anyway, and I didn't want to be my sister did not. So she wasn't here. She wasn't there. So okay, you come, I can take her. No, I'll let my sister take me.
So, yeah.
She said, and my mom is too healthy. She can have, and I go, you know what? It doesn't matter. You can die any minute, whether you're healthy or not.
Yeah.
So,
I'm telling you, Ed.
So anyway, so that's good. See what I can close my eyes. It was bugs me, so I can close it that good. And then my mouth, if I'm not talking or eating, I'm okay. But I'm always eating or talking.
Yeah.
Do you think you feel like it's much better now than...
It's not much better. No, it's not worse. No, it's a little better, but not much. No.
Yeah. So yeah.
They told me 2 to 3 weeks before I can see a real improvement. So this is only this happened a week ago. Like you just do things outside the house.
Telling you, so your favorite hobby is just shopping and
Clean my house, decorate.
I'm
Things in
telling
the
you.
house. I like to do things in the house.
And
It's not
so that's what you like to do when you're
no,
bored, huh?
I never get bored.
No, not in here.
I
Never.
like I like to go outside and play with my garden.
Oh yeah.
I like to
And
go
it
outside
must
and
be still
pull the
peaceful.
weeds.
It must be
Yeah,
still
it's
peaceful
good.
here, huh? It is,
I
huh?
like to go out and play with it.
Do
Pull
the
weeds
garden
and
stuff,
clean.
yeah.
I can take the whole day outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what you like to do on the as a hobby and
I
spare
like to go
time.
yeah.
But
Pull
yeah,
weeds and
so
clean outside
I'm telling
and
you.
the house just clean and just do normal things.
There's a cat under your car.
Yeah, there's a cat.
It's next door.
Oh.
I'm
They
telling you.
have cats and they live over here. I don't know why they even have
I'm
cats.
telling you. And the space rent, what's the space rent right now?
426 the same. That's it.
Only?
Well, yeah,
God dang.
I pay 526 for the space and the sewer and the trash and the water. Okay.
So all together.
525.
Damn,
And then
man.
I pay
That's a little
gas,
bit.
the gas and electricity. But it's not like altogether no more than 600 a month.
God dang, man.
So
I miss the days when we were paying
even
five,
if I
600
didn't-
a month.
Even if I didn't work, I can still be okay.
Yeah, I mean that's nice though. I mean that's nice
I
to
don't stress
to see that. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. Even if I don't work with Arnold, I still can.
yeah, that's good though.
Because I
I
only
mean,
have like two more. My car is almost paid off. I have like
yeah,
2 more
especially because like at your age, you know, like
payments.
I mean, it's because if you had a house, you know, like you wouldn't,
Yeah,
it would be way too difficult to
yeah.
pay.
I owe like 1,400 on my car.
Really? Wow.
2 more payments.
Dang. So that's $300 extra in your pocket, and the debt relief.
That one was.
What? Yeah, around 12 o'clock.
Like around 2:30.
Oh,
Something like that.
oh yeah. So you haven't.
Oh, head.
Yeah, we're
Oh, you went home. So, oh, okay. Well, you're gonna go to Jollibee?
We already had like a few days ago actually.
Oh, really?
Probably won't get it for like another like I don't know 6 months or something.
I see. Sound sensitivity, see? The
Yeah.
sound good all of a sudden, yeah. I don't know what to say. It's a problem, the neural controls the muscle. It's a neural that controls the muscles.
Yeah. So you say you were there for 3 hours.
Yeah, I was there for a while.
Logic in this was the family had been through enough. He did not want to air the contents of this letter.
I
Telling
don't
you.
know, Gilby.
So, Arrowhead Hospital.
That's what I went for the emergency.
So it was busy in there, like the emergency room was busy.
Yeah.
Well, it always is. I mean, sure.
We went with a lot of weird people in there.
Oh, man. I'm telling you. So, Ed's house. It's a nice place, too. I mean, like, imagine Mama paying only like $500-600 a month. I'm telling you.
Like this chili.
The heck is that?
Jenny. Jenny. Let's see. Yeah, they did only yeah, I gave you some
But I'm telling you.
This is spaghetti sauce.
Spaghetti sauce.
Spaghetti sauce.
Uh-huh.
Let's see.
Oh, spaghetti sauce.
Just
It's
mix
like
it
pre-made
together,
already.
And then just put it together.
Oh.
Look at this is pasta sauce. Let's see what
Here.
else I got. Let's see sauce. What is this? Tomato sauce, no.
Oh, and
Let's see what else. They gave me all this food, and then I don't know who to give it to. This is, you can use this for with the spaghetti, Sandy. Pasta sauce. Pasta sauce. You like this?
Okay.
And okay.
Yeah, it's fruits.
fruits.
Fruit.